Alrighty, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to be talking about how you can best prepare for a strategy workshop. And we're going to be using the example of psychological safety. So, using the example of a psychological safety strategy workshop. And this is going to dive into what you need to do beforehand so that you have a very successful strategy workshop. So, let's dive in. Now, the first question is when? When do we want to use something like this? Well, you want to know, you want to use something like this when you have a good understanding of what are the challenges that you and your team wants to make progress on, right? So if you're using psychological safety, an example of that would be if your team doesn't feel comfortable opening up to one another, challenging each other, they're having communication issues, they're not collaborating well, you see that there's a problem or a challenge and you want to make forward progress on this. So that's what strategy workshops help with. And what you want to do beforehand is as much research and discovery about the issue that you're looking to overcome. So coming in with as much knowledge, with as much information as you possibly can. Now, these are the questions that get answered during a strategy workshop. So understanding what is the goal? What is the goal that we want to really focus on? Getting really clear, specific about that. Where are we going as a company, as an organization? You're getting to look at the big picture. So where do we want to move our organization and how do we want to move it? And what does success actually look like? What does that really mean that we're being successful? Success is something that's very subjective. So strategy helps us get really clear on what success will actually look like. What's the big picture here? What are all the elements that are in place? What are all the components, stakeholders, markets, all these things that we're going to come together on and get a sense of that? And now, how will we actually get there? What are the things that we will actually be doing to get us towards that goal? And what's the big overarching focus of the company, of the organization, of whatever it is that you're going to be working on here? And in what order, what sequence of events will we actually be doing these things? What comes first? What comes second? And so on. And what are the big projects and initiatives that we want to run this year to get us towards the goal, right? So we need to understand the direction we want to go towards, and then what are the things that are going to get us there. So that's what strategy workshops answer. And I often do strategy workshops with clients, and one of the more popular ones is around psychological safety, but I've done a whole variety of them. And these are the questions that we look to answer during these workshops. Now, what about the objectives? What are the objectives of the strategy workshop? So we want a clear vision of the future and an action plan to get there, right? So that's the first thing we really want to do. Very, very clear, very obvious, very understandable vision, and what are we doing to get there? And also to start having some prioritization. What are we going to be focusing on? What are we not going to be focusing on? What are we going to put to later? What are we going to do right now? And what are the yeses and what are the nos of the things that we actually do? And then diving deep into the core issues that are affecting whatever it is that you're trying to create a strategy about within the organization. So, what are the challenges that are happening? What are the issues that you might be experiencing in the organization, and really bring those to life? So, if you're having challenges with psychological safety, is an issue that you have a high turnover rate, right? Is that a clear issue? Do you see that people are staying quiet in meetings and no one's really working with one another? Is that a core issue that's affecting your organization? So getting really clear and honest about those things, and that's what strategy workshops help to do. And then it brings the team together. When you have a clear goal and clear plan of how to get there, we as a team can come together around that and unite and align with that and move forward as one massive group of people going towards that. It's really easy for people to misinterpret things, to not understand what's really going on, and then the energy gets scattered and it slows down a lot of the progress when that happens. So getting everyone on the same page, getting clear on what we're going to do, where we're going, how we're going to do it, what order are we going to do those things, and so on. And then this is what's going to help support the culture transformation. People often want to do some very light things. I've heard multiple times of, managers throwing like a pizza party or things like that, and it doesn't really get near the core of what's going on in your culture. When you're looking at the strategy of it, you get to really be purposeful and create a very comprehensive plan towards a specific goal to create that transformation very purposefully. So the next thing you want to do is figure out who's going to be there. Who's going to be at the workshops? A lot of times it's going to be if you're with a nonprofit, it might be your board of directors, right? Getting the people there who help guide your organization. It might be the leadership team. So this might be the C-suite, the CFOs, and CEOs, and so on and so forth. Who are the big leaders of your organization, and getting them on board so that everyone is on the same page. Looking at key staff, not keys taff, but more key staff. That's what you're looking for. I mean, if you want keys and taffy, that might be fun, but we're looking here for key staff. And then external stakeholders. So who are the people that you're going to be working with outside your organization? And maybe it's all those above. So you want to be really purposeful about picking the participants of this strategy workshop. Now, the next piece is you're going to want to find a facilitator, someone who is going to lead people through the process, because if you don't have a facilitator, it can be very messy and disorganized. That's a lot of the work that we get to do, is we are the facilitators of the experience. So when we work with different organizations, they're the people who have the knowledge, who have the expertise, and we help facilitate the process. Now, if you can't afford a facilitator, that's totally okay. Most likely, the person who has the most responsibility or who's putting this together is going to be the facilitator. So that might mean you. But you want to find a facilitator, and these are the things that that they really help with. Again, really leading the process to really get those objectives done and communicate what participants aren't saying, and also what they are saying. So really getting to help move people through a process and open up the communication as much as possible. You want to keep the meetings very focused, because it's very easy to go down rabbit holes left and right. And you want to keep it on time, because it's very easy to continually dive into a topic and lose track of time. You want to have someone who's going to ask those relevant and unbiased questions. Have someone who's really curious, but isn't necessarily is unbiased about the outcome itself. So you want someone as neutral as possible to really look at what's going on and ask questions that maybe aren't being asked. Someone to keep the energy going, someone to make sure that people aren't dozing and feeling exhausted, and knowing how people are in the space and when to use a break, what kind of breaks, energizers, and to use that in a very specific, targeted way to keep that energy going. And they want to really make the event as valuable as possible, because there's a lot of time and money being doing a strategy workshop with a variety of people coming together. So they really help make sure that you get the most out of the workshop as possible. And then they also keep the team accountable, making sure that people are doing what they say they're going to do, making sure people are speaking up, that people are part of the process, and that people are also going to be a part of what happens after. Now, the other thing that you can do beforehand is do a couple of things to help save time. And you can save time with pre-meeting surveys. So throwing out surveys out there to hear what do people want to talk about, what's on their minds, what are they worried about, and trying to collect as much information as you can beforehand, so you don't have to use the time in the strategy workshop to collect that information that you could have gotten before. So a pre-meeting survey might help with that. Another thing that you can do is research. So get as much intel and information about what it is that you're strategizing on beforehand. Collect that knowledge, as they say. And then putting those together in a report so that it comes together in a nice document that people can look over, that they can be more prepared for when they come into the workshop. So everyone's on the same page, everyone has an understanding of what's going on, and then we can really dive in with much more speed, clarity, and purposefulness because you have that report. And so those are the things that you can do to really start preparing for that strategy workshop. And if you're interested in learning more on how to get your teams to work together in a way that's very productive and forward moving, but that's also filled with collaboration and healthy communication, we have a really great resource for you. So you can click below for your free guide, and it's how to get staff open up in meetings. And in this, you can use a lot of the tools in this in your strategy workshop. And so it's a free guide that you can use, and you can just click below, and that's a gift from us to you so that you feel more prepared. You know what to do to help your team come together in a way that's way more collaborative and way more productive. And if you want, you can also visit our website at leadbyimpact.com. I hope this was helpful for you. Again, if you want any more information, we're here to help. And thank you so much for being here, and have a great day.